evening, Team Jacob and joiners. Good evening, people with questionable taste. My name is Holly Smith, and along with my alpha teammates, Ashton and Christian, I stand on all fours in negation with the resolution that Bella and Edward are a better match than Bella and Jacob in Twilight. Despite all that Stephanie Meyer would have you believe, the relationship between Bella and Edward is not the best possible mechanism for Bella to find happiness. In this age of death of the author, it is high time we stop believing that what we see canonically is the only truth. Jacob would have made an excellent companion for Bella. Our argument is based on three premises. First, that Bella's tastes and values are more similar to Jacob's than Edward's. Second, that Edward is destined to stop loving Bella as time goes on. And third, that there exists an insurmountable power imbalance between Edward and Bella. Our first argument against Edward and Bella's relationship is that they have so little in common. Edward was raised in the early 1900s and 1910s in Chicago by upper middle class professional parents. His father was an esteemed attorney, and he received a private school education. Bella, on the other hand, was born in 1987 and spent most of her childhood with her single mother in California or Arizona. Her mom was a kindergarten teacher, and her dad was a small-town sheriff. Jacob similarly grew up in a single-parent home, and while we don't know the specifics of his family's economic background, we do know that he is Native American who attends school on a reservation, which are notoriously underfunded by the federal government. And he lives in a small house, as we see in the film. Why does this matter? Because the context of one's upbringing influences one's values and interests, both of which are integral for a stable relationship. According to the University of Pennsylvania, yes, I did bring statistics to this debate. Americans' tendency to find partners of a similar class background has increased since 1960. And NPR found in 2020, the year for this to happen, that people are more willing to cut interpersonal ties when they see a disparity in morals. Some differences between Edward and Bella's upbringings are benign, like their taste in art. Few things age Edward as much as the scene in Twilight, during which Bella sees his room for the first time and discovers that he likes to listen to in his free time Claude Debussy. Who here, who is under the age of 100 and is not a serial killer, likes to turn up to Claude Debussy's greatest hits in high school? Put your hands down, you nerds. I doubt Bella did. The most obvious display of her taste in art is her choice to attend the movie Face Punch over a romance movie in New Moon. The movie is so gory that it makes her classmate vomit. Can you imagine the reviews for a story like that if it came out in Edward's day? They would claim that it was corrupting the youth and turning them into violent communists. But Jacob sits right through the movie, no problem. Imagine arguing with your partner over how you decorate your home, what movies you watch together, and what music to put on the car because your tastes are so fundamentally different. And that's not even the most alarming distinction between the two. We see throughout the series a clear distinction between what the two consider right in their discussions about Bella becoming a vampire. Edward remains firm in his belief that he is tainted with a curse that has damned his soul, even if he refuses to harm human beings. And he believes that it would be wrong to share physical intimacy before marriage. Bella sees both of these beliefs as antiquated, because of course she does. She grew up in a time of social possibility and humanist idealism. How can the two form a stable relationship on contrasting ideals? And those are just the moral disparities we see in the films. Other beliefs that were popular and morally justified during Edward's upbringing include eugenics, forcing women into dependence, and sterilizing deviants. Am I saying that Edward is a raging bigot who believes in controlling women and restricting their reproductive autonomy? Yes. Look at his relationship with the only people of color in the series and his wife and her reproductive capabilities. I do not need to explain. The difference in morality between Edward and Bella is so large that it cannot be rectified in any number of mortal lifetimes. Jacob's background, on the other hand, is not so alien to Bella. She's eager to learn about his people's culture and history in Eclipse, signifying that even if their backgrounds do not align, she can respect those differences. Jacob is also quite open to Bella's critiques of the werewolves' practices, such as their hierarchical obedience to an alpha male. Overall, Jacob and Bella's relationship is not hindered by fundamental differences in worldviews. The same cannot be said for Edward and Bella's relationship. The second reason why Edward is not a better partner for Bella than Jacob is that the basis of their attraction is fickle. From the first movie, we know exactly 2 reasons why Edward is attracted to Bella. The first is that he likes her scent and feels compelled to feast upon her. The second is that he cannot hear her thoughts, but he can hear what other boys think she's attractive, and that makes him jealous. We must then assume that if Bella were not unique in these ways, he would have no reason to want her. This is a problem because by the end of the story, Bella is a vampire and she allows Edward to read her thoughts. Edward likes Bella because she's vulnerable and mysterious. When she no longer has blood to drink, when she can defend herself, when she chooses to enlighten him on her feelings, he effectively has no reason to want her. What else is going to keep them together? They don't bond over anything other than him craving her and her getting a sense of importance from it. Meanwhile, Jacob and Bella have been friends for years. Their fathers are close friends, and they met growing up during Bella's yearly visits to Charlie and Forks. We love Charlie. They bond over fixing up bites and express genuine interest at seeing each other, genuine happiness at seeing each other. As seen in the masterful piece of dialogue, quote, Bella, where the hell have you been, Luna? The two feel comfortable joking around with each other, with one another, because the relationship is not built on keeping up false appearances to please the other. A solid friendship makes for a longer lasting romance, especially because Jacob's feelings for Bella are not contingent on her being his prey. For the record, there is no lack of physical attraction between Bella and Jacob either. If it wasn't enough for Jacob to explicitly confirm in Eclipse that he is hotter than Edward, there are plenty of instances of Bella reaching out to touch Jacob in either his half-naked man form or furry dog form. I am not here to convince you that attraction for a shape-shifting wolf is less questionable than feeling attraction for a walking corpse. I'm only here to state that Bella seems to be down for anything. And given her rather open-minded approach, Jacob and her have a more stable attraction than Bella does with Edward. The negation's final point is that the skewed power dynamic between Edward and Bella makes their relationship inherently unhealthy. The way he leverages his supernatural powers over her is the most obvious red flag here. When she discovers he is a vampire in the first movie, he gets her alone and makes a threatening display of strength for the sake of scaring her. He then clarifies that even if she wanted to stay away from him, she would have no hope of outrunning him or fighting him off. Why is this necessary? What is his goal in doing this? Showing his powers and then asserting that she would never be able to escape him leaves Bella in an unwinnable situation. Either she commits to him fully and complies with all of his demands in their relationship, or she risks physical harm. It doesn't matter that we, the audience, know what his intentions are. Bella does not. In her mind, her continued relationship with him is a matter of life and death, regardless of how much she loves him. Edward also leverages his emotional maturity over Bella in their relationship. Edward's mind has clearly aged throughout his life, even if his body remains eternally young. He is far more concerned with his immortal soul and the morality of violence than the typical teenager. So Bella's partner in life is one who has much more experience with the world and has the power to cause her harm if she doesn't submit to his will. Again, intent doesn't matter. The psychological impact it has on a teenage girl is what matters. While it is true that Jacob's werewolf powers make him equally imposing, he never physically intimidates Bella. We only see him use his strength to stop those who threaten her, such as other werewolves in the vampire Laurents. When he does physically impose himself on her, like when he kisses her for the first time in Eclipse, he at least feels shame and waits for permission to touch her again. As far as his mental age, he's actually younger than Bella. In New Moon, the two jokingly discuss which one influences the other more, and they're pretty evenly matched. Bella even concludes that if she is mentally 35 years old, Jacob would be 32. Bella is too intimidated by Edward, which means there's only so much room for her to assert her own will in their relationship. The same is not true of her relationship with Jacob. Bella and Edward realistically would not last as a couple. Their interests are too different, their attraction is too impulsive, and their power dynamic is too harrowing. How are we to believe that these two people grow to find happiness in a partnership with each other when they so rarely express joy about seeing the other person? Their union is not built on genuine affection. Edward has a compulsive desire to possess Bella, and she craves his attention. There is, however, an alternative. A less manipulative, canonically hotter, equally supernatural love interest who has more in common with Bella in the form of Jacob. Bella's relationship with Jacob would be equally cinematic and more harmonious than her relationship with Edward. For this reason, I ask you to throw us a bone in favor of the negation. Thank you.